Good evening, traders. Climber here. It's 11:44 Thursday night. I wanted to give a few hours to markets to decompress. Frankly, I needed that myself after a really long day. I'm here to record a video for us for Friday. Tomorrow is going to be really important. We've had a really active market, really huge ranging market all week, and in pretty much last week as well. So we've had two really difficult and critical weeks, and I hope everybody did okay, and I hope you are surviving it. Certainly wasn't a surprise to us if you've been a follower in Discord or in the live room. We have been kind of tiptoeing around the price action, waiting something like this. So I hope you got a good day out of today. Markets have been open for about 5 hours 45 minutes. The 6 p.m. Futures open. We've certainly put in a couple of 2-hour candles and then and some. We were up as high as, let's say, 65 and 93, I think, and as low as 39. So this little tiny chop in this area, what seems to be like a sideways price action chop, is actually 55 US dollars, and that's happening overnight. Need I say more? So we've had such crazy range and such big movement that this little thing here, what seems to be like an $8 move, is actually a $55 overnight price action so far. We don't know where it's going to go. Believe it or not, we had a 240 point ES day from highs to low, 240. That's crazy. Let's look at the board. Everything you see on this board is futures. ES at some point was actually up about 0.4, and NQ it is 0.26 right now. NQ was up about 0.5%, I want to say, or maybe 0.4, a little bit higher than ES, and RTY was almost 0.6. So they all gave away a little bit from these little highs here around 11 o'clock. And the worst thing that I'm seeing on the board is silver minus 2% tonight, and I think the second worst is probably crude. Crude was not doing great. Yes, 1.6 minus 1.6%. So that's the overall look. You can pause the video and take a look at that. And these are 15-minute candles. We're looking at ES. I'm going to jump to our other charting platform and actually replay something for you guys. As I replay it, I'm also going to narrate it. So these are 2-minute candles, and we're looking at Wednesday. Okay, we're not looking at today. This is not Thursday. We are looking at this Wednesday, and the party hat that we put in on Wednesday, which was an incredibly interesting price action. It was, to me, one of the early signs of the earthquake that was coming. I just didn't want to put it that way out there, but it was very clear to me, on top of many other signs that I had for the last several days, which I will touch upon. So we basically open the market, we spike in an incredible way, then we do lower lows after a $70-80 day, and then we go through our day. Around power hour 3 p.m. on Wednesday, market starts buying, and then they buy all the way into NVIDIA. So that red arrow you're seeing in the middle of the screen is NVIDIA announcement. That's 410, okay? And then they buy the NVIDIA announcement. They continue to buy it. Then the futures pause for an hour, as you guys know. Then we open at 6 p.m. right here. They buy the market. They spike quite a bit. That was a pretty impressive spike, in my opinion, between the NVIDIA earnings all the way up to 67.43. That was pretty impressive. And then they go a little bit. They buy the dips. They buy the dips overnight. And then they eventually touch that key level that I talked about a lot, 67.56. I have been saying all week that we have to close a day above 67.56. So the first touch sells, and then they come down a little bit. It's all sideways. The next thing comes along is the 8:30 data candle. It's right here in this green candle. Remember how big it looked at the time? Not so much after this price action. So they buy that candle. They make a high. They go to 67.91. That was our high today, and then we hit this incredible sell-off. like incredible. This was such a big day. Little bump up. They sell the rallies. They sold every single rally, and then we close. This is the 6 p.m. open for today, and this little thing that I commented in the previous chart is actually the $55 overnight action. So the overnight low is 65.39, and the overnight high is 65. What is that? 94. So that's $55, and ES is trading currently at 65.70 right here. So I'm going to come back to this micro chart, but I do want to go back to the bigger picture. Monthly candle. Remember the Tuesday morning video? I made some comments about on the yearly, monthly, and weekly and daily charts. So I want to touch upon this. Today's low, the low we just touched after the 6 p.m. Open on ES is 65.39. That's $1 lower than the October candle. All right, that's important. Pay attention. October candle low was 65.40. Today it's 39 by just a hair, but it will matter. So when that happens, and when there is 10 days to go in the existing month, I go look left even further. So I'm going to go to September. September low was 64.29. All right, mark that on your charts. 64.29. It happens to be poking inside of a very active channel that we traded very heavily late summer and early fall. So you guys are gonna see when I go back June, July, August, it is all poking in it. So September lows are going to be important. If you're wondering, climber, where are we going? What are we doing? You have to pay attention to the lows of September. All right, that's one thing. Number two, weekly candle. This is the October 10 candle, not the October 10 candle, but the week that started at October 6 that ended with the October 10 disaster. So that's that, and we actually didn't touch the lows of that until after we opened tonight. Everything else, like SPX, it actually touched it during the session, the cash session. SPY, same, they actually touched during the session, but for ES, it actually did it after the 6 p.m. open. It wasn't really anywhere near the bottom of it. It did this after the open. Where to go from here? Well, in the smaller chart, in the smaller time frame, it will be easier to talk about it, but I will just put some pointers here. The one thing that we're going to worry about is that once we lose this low, obviously we bounced a little bit. Once we lose this low, we're going to pay attention. We're going to start paying attention to some other areas, and one of the areas will be this little August low here, this little week here, that is the August 18 week, the week that starts with August 18. That will be one of the lows we pay attention. Now 64.29, remember, was the September low, right, for ES. So there's a whole bunch of other areas here which I have lines that's been sitting there for months. That's going to be the next one. But before we leave this chart, the next thing that I'm going to get your eyes on is the December. Where is that? December 19. So there is a December. Is it this one? No, it's right here. So December 19 was the high of 2024. That will be, that general area will be the next level to pay attention to. Okay, it's going to be roughly a line down here after we basically contend with the September low or the August low here. All right, so that's what is coming at us, and here's the daily candle. We don't have to worry too much about it. So what were the other bellwethers that I was talking about? Well, one of them was this. How many times I mentioned since the summer, the entire summer consolidation and the fall rise, I told you guys that I don't like this price action. This isn't what strong things on the chart do. Even though very often by my friends I'm called that you don't understand how Bitcoin works. Well, I do understand how charts work. So, and Bitcoin does not get an exemption on that. I'm sorry. So, and I've kept calling you about that cap bounces. I called it 3 times in 3 different videos that I can remember, and I was talking about coming down here, and then my target being the 81K. Looks like we might get it, maybe tomorrow, maybe this weekend, but I have been very, very right about Bitcoin. The only unfortunate part of that is that I don't trade Bitcoin, but hopefully somebody benefited from it. And another bellwether was this. I wouldn't let go about my ideas about VIX that I continuously talked about since late August. I said that VIX was settling in a different regime. Every time it collapsed, people were messaging me that it just does this. It just does this. It just looked different. It looked very, very different to me. And here we are. We touched 29 again one more time today, and we closed at the highs. So, this is a scary area. I'm not just saying this to scare you guys. I'm usually on the other side. I don't scare people. But once you start trading above 23, you start pinging 27s, 28s. Next leg is panic. Next leg is panic. Make no mistake about that. Most people will panic there. They are not going to believe what they're seeing. For example, Google might start jumping down tens of dollars. Things like that. And they're not going to believe their eyes. But it's just a result of VIX being so high, right? Another bellwether, gold. The way gold traded, I knew that was another kind of sign or early sign of what was going to happen. RTY, as you guys know, it's my little baby. I traded very heavily, and this thing basically told me that we weren't going anywhere. Not only was it not going anywhere, but it was also telling me that the tides were turning a little bit. MSTR, another one of my bellwethers that led me down here, and a couple of other ones. DIA, it's something that I watch. When DIA made this big rise, and the top of this rise was actually the day the financials lost their mind, which is this day. Not this Wednesday that we left, but the Wednesday before. It's right here. They made new highs. This is a board that I watch. It's all financials, JPM, Goldman Sachs, Citi, Berkshire, and all the other ones. And the only ones on this board that acted like the adults in the room were the MasterCard and Visa. They literally did what Microsoft and Meta did throughout the weeks, and I'm like, I think these guys are telling the truth. Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Netflix, MasterCard, Visa. These guys are telling me that what the market wants to do, not these freak shows, not the Goldman Sachs. This thing moved $27 that morning. Everything else was calm. Market opened, the bell went off, and JPM and Goldman Sachs, Citi, Berkshire, every one of these just ran like incredible amounts. I'm like, okay, this Wednesday is going to be a blow off top. And that's when I really, really kind of turned really bearish on that day. This was November 12th, I believe. Yes. One last thing. I was invited in the live room Monday, and I talked about this chart. I talked about how mega caps, you're looking at the 8 biggest names inside of SPY. These are the biggest 8 names in SPY, and this is the Excel sectors. I talked about how these guys are very off, like trading really off. When mega caps, so this is the day that I was in the room, right? This is right inside of this big green doji candle. We were at the top of that candle when I was talking on the live mic. And this one, and this guy on Monday was trading up here. Now look at this. Look at where my mouse is, and look at the October 10 candle in relation to that. All right, it was basically above the October 10 candle. All these sectors were telling me that we were about to go like sky high, because they weren't even touching the top of the 10-10 candle, where mega caps have been trading outside of it, like lower lows or kind of like the low parts of that candle. I'm like, if I were to pick, if you're twisting my arm and telling me to pick a side, which one are you choosing? Which one do you think are telling us the truth? I'm going to side with mega caps. What the hell are these bunch? So I said, if mega caps come back on Monday, I'm saying this, if mega caps come back and lose their 10-10 candles, I'm going to turn all my positions waiting for these guys to lose their 10-10. And look where we are today. All right. That day it looked absurd, but today not so much. The difference, the actual dollar difference is really stark. So you have to kind of look at a smaller time frame like this to understand what's happening. But this thing is massive. They haven't done anything like this since 1010, and this was actually a worse day for them than 1010. So here it is in the 2-hour look. So that's it. That's the last thing I'm going to say. Here's SPX. This is what happened today. This is what it looks like. It actually closed below its 100-day. The gray line on my chart is the 100-day. SPY doesn't look much different. It also touches 100-day. So a lot of traders know that we had lost the 9 EMA, we lost the 20-day, we lost the 50, and now we're on the 100-day, and the 200 is just too far away. So where do we go from here? Well, let's look at the smaller chart, the micro chart. So I'm going to turn on some levels here. I'm going to go to 15 minutes. This is the circle. How many times this week I told you guys that we have to jump above 67.56 and close the daily, otherwise this isn't going to work out. And as I was saying that, I said I prefer that they close above 67.75. They finally went above it this morning, right? They did this crazy thing with Nvidia overnight. They chopped, then they did this like, ooh, we're going higher, 65.75. So it was basically no reason for them to go higher. No reason for them to not go higher, right? Nvidia earnings were out of the way. Here's Nvidia. This is what Nvidia did. This is the earnings day. This is Wednesday. They go up here, and after the earnings, after hours, it closes about 197. I'm like, this is really interesting. That's it. Like Nvidia goes to 197. This was the recent high. I'm like, everything I had been seeing already was telling me that this market wasn't going to go higher. When this happened, when people were telling me that, whoa, Nvidia spiked, I think we're going to have a really good day. I was like, I wouldn't call this a spike. This is just basically almost obligatory. Like they had to do this. I think people are going to sell Nvidia. So, and I made in my notes long before today happened, I was already sharing inside the Discord. Please share in the YouTube channel if you're one of the people. I said this on Wednesday before the earnings, but I did put in the evening notes on Wednesday night that I expect Nvidia to be near 180 by Friday close. Well, Nvidia was at 180 at the market close today. All right. So these things are not like, I don't have any superpowers. It's just that these things are often visible. You just have to put the pieces of puzzle together as I walk you through in this video. All right. It's really visible to all of us. You just have to do a little bit of homework. Going back to the micro chart here, where do we go from here? Well, I will tell you exactly what could happen. Let's put one of our main fibs here. When the markets move this big, the number one thing that you expect is that you don't expect another big move immediately. Markets just need to take a breather. Now, the breather, unfortunately, is not going to be very small because the VIX is 28.29, right? Every single candle, these are 15-minute candles, by the way, if you can believe it. Every single candle will have just two things. One, a higher velocity. Two, they're going to have a bigger range. Okay, so you have to be prepared for that. Looking at this overnight, asking this tomorrow, asking them to kind of have the retracement all the way back inside of this golden pocket is a little much, but that's what they have to do. If this market isn't going to make lower lows before Monday, then it's going to have to make itself at the very least inside of this range. What is that range? 66.65, 66.95. The idea is that when you pull this fib, you're going to have to retrace there, and at the bottom of this, as early as the bottom of the 50% right here, they might find resistance, curl back down, and make it lower lows. Now, if they can never make it there, you're going to have to look a level lower, which is 66.35, where the pivot point is already there. So you can say that pivot point will be there. We can easily, comfortably say that. This is literally the first thing they have to take out tonight. They cannot walk into the session open, the bell, still trading under this PP. It just won't work. It's just, this is already a sign of weakness. But if they actually start trading above this, and if they make their way up, like kind of float all day and close somewhere near 66.90, I think that would absolutely calm the markets down. I think I can totally see the markets being okay, making it back to October 22 lows. especially beating the prior week low. You know what that means? That if we close above this PWL, we're not putting a lower low on the weekly chart. So that would be definitely a sign of, all right, we're calming down. We're gonna regroup. We're gonna look what we do after the Sunday open. So I think that's the bare minimum. But again, the bare minimum doesn't get us out of the ditch. It just stops the bleeding. All right. If they cannot do that, if we wake up tomorrow morning and we're still under the PP, expect them to break this strong dash line, this big one here, which is the 10-10 low, 65.40 immediately. They will break this immediately, and we're going to continue lower. So if you remember, I made that 64.29 comment, right? That was the September low. So that's kind of like this black line right here how I started my video. But these two lines, make no mistake, are very important. So this $21 range, as soon as the contract changed in June, I marked these lines on my chart. They have been so incredibly helpful trading the ranges. So we go back to basically September, August, and even July. Yeah, so throughout July, August, and September, those two lines made a huge difference, and that black line as well. So if you're asking me, Climber, what happens next, you must pay attention to these in addition to the September lows. And now the reason I'm saying that is that why did we talk about 10-10 low that much? Well, I showed you that little symmetry in the beginning of the video. Like I marked today's candle, I extended over to the 10-10. Well, the reason why the 10-10 happened is because of what happened before, right? So you have to think that way. 10-10 was bought and market had a massive bounce and made new highs because they found something there, but that something was this price action. So coming back to that price action, you must take it very seriously, right? The same thing can happen again because clearly there was enough people interested in buying these lows. So going back to a smaller time frame to continue the talk, another thing we can do to extrapolate from this is that we can actually take this fib down to maybe this area to get it a little bit more easier to trade, maybe 5 minutes. So I basically I didn't get the day high. I got it here to the little bump up here. Sometimes I investigate, I explore these ones, so maybe go to this one as well. You can say that I'm gonna go to 2 minutes. Let's look at that. So looks like so far they did actually use this on the smaller time frame as well, but this won't be enough to trade tomorrow. The main reason why I'm taking this fib all the way higher, at least to this guy here, is that yeah, this is the one that looks like they're actually using, because the range is so big, the VIX is high. So I think it would be safer to keep it up here on the day high and then actually expect them to do the bigger move. I think that's the safe play, and the total range tomorrow is definitely in the vicinity of at least S1 in this area. Expect them to be aggressive in this area because they were all summer and fall. If we actually lose the 10-10 lows, which is 65.40. So I would say the day can go as low as this black line, which would almost coincide with the September lows that I showed you guys early in the video. All right, so the day can get as bad as that. And remember, what did I say? Sunday open, what was my number, potential number for Friday close? 64.90 something, right? So here we are. Those are basically these lines right here. And if the market decides to kind of take a breather, rise up, you're definitely looking to take this down first and then rise above the PWL, in which case you will find yourself inside of this, and then the market will decide what to do here. If they close below the PWL, then it will be a lower low on the weekly chart. If they close above it, that would be a really good sign for next week. Okay, I hope this helps, and you guys know where to find me, and I will see you guys in Discord. All right, peace.